Okay, so today is August 7th, and this is my video for my spiritual retreat. My spiritual retreat didn't take place all in 3 hours in one day. I had intended to do that, and I had gone on a hike, but it didn't take me as long as I thought it would to get there and back. So I ended up doing an hour and a half one day, and then an hour and a half on another day, which was actually really nice because I felt like it really helped to ground me and refocus me those days. I think I actually needed that both days. And the scripture that I chose, so I have an app that goes to my phone that I get verses for the day. And so I kind of use those just because I feel like they're usually pretty fitting to whatever situation. So the first day, which was yesterday, the scripture was from James 5:15, and it says, "And the prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well. The Lord will raise them up, and if they have sinned, they'll be forgiven." And that's the New International Version. And thinking about this as I went on my hike, it brought me back to thinking of my entire journey with finding my way to Christianity and getting baptized, and even thinking about my journey before that, of just the different ways and things God has done in my life to save me and to just watch over me. And I can truly say that He has done those things for me, which, thinking about the first aspect was, thinking about what your thoughts and feelings were, and it was just a feeling incredibly loved and overwhelmed with this beauty of this gift that I was given. And I also found myself thinking about kind of the highs and lows I go through with my faith. When you, like, before I got baptized, of course, it was a real low, which that's when, God kind of gets you. And then, of course, after my baptism, I was on this remarkable high and didn't feel like I'd ever lose it. And, I'd never fall out of His light. And I don't want to say that I fell out of His light. Just there's times that I feel like I'm not as focused on Him, or my actions don't necessarily reflect Him as much as I wish they would. And just thinking about that, the kind of highs and lows, and it really is, it takes practice, and it takes, like, I'm very good about being disciplined with, like, working out and school, and I haven't always been as disciplined when it comes to my faith. And that's something, even through the beginning of this program, I've definitely grown into doing, but I still feel like I can grow more. I really appreciated this exercise because it really did help me to really think heavily on verse and really think about my journey with God and just different thoughts and feelings and focusing on Him. I will admit, both days I did have a hard time. I kind of bunny trail on different thoughts and then have to bring myself back, and but it was good. And that was yesterday. So then today, when I went, the verse that I kind of thought over as I was going along was, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze." Isaiah 43:2. And that's the New International Version. And I definitely feel this. I definitely feel protected by Him. I definitely feel, even on my bad days, or, when things happen that I feel like maybe people are being nitpicky, or just I feel the presence of being, I don't even know, like, persecuted. I don't know how what the right words are right now, but I definitely feel like having God's grace and knowing that He's watching over me and protecting me, and that no matter what, I have him on my side, does make me feel safe and loved, and gives me a sense of relief from I think some of the pressures and stresses other people have of worrying about what people think or what they say or anything else. And then today, as I was going on my walk, I did my hike it's a military base, it's an Air Force base. And yesterday there wasn't as many vehicles, but there was a lot of vehicles today. And I found that as I was, trying to be focused on God and heavenly things and scripture, that I was watching these vehicles go by, and it was kind of bringing me back to the earthly things, and even back to, I served in the military in the Air Force, and was even stationed in Afghanistan, and it brought me back to thinking of wartime, and the fall of man, and how we even have this need for the military, and then it still brought me back to that scripture of of having that grace over me, of knowing that I'm safe and I'm saved. And I found myself thinking that I wish everyone could understand and know the feeling that comes with being not even baptized, but just asking, having God on your side, and believing and having in that faith, for people that don't have any faith. So the attributes that came to mind for me were, of course, God's love. I feel like even in times He's given me things that I've prayed for, and I've felt selfish even praying for them, but He's always answered my prayers and always blessed me. I feel like, my entire journey with Him, with becoming a new Christian, I feel like He's watched over me so closely and blessed me so much. And I just feel really lucky, and I feel so thankful that I found the path that led me to Him, even if it did take me longer than some other people. The works of God that I focused on, and how did that? So when I think of works of God, I think of everything, not just like scripture and buildings, but I think of the people and nature. And I think that's part of the reason I wanted to go out and hike and be outside. One, because it got me into a place where I was alone without technology, but I was surrendered by God's unfiltered, I think, presence. His, the nature, the birds, the gophers, the butterflies, the wind, the trees, and just even how everything is so interconnected and made so beautifully to support each other. And even as people, that we're made to be connected, and we're made to be part of this huge system that everything feeds on each other, and just the beauty of it, and just the kind of amazed at what He can do. What personal characteristics that you wish to improve on did you pray over, and why? I think for me it was just to be more mindful of my prayer and my discipline, of course, but then I found myself constantly praying that, especially because I feel so appreciative of everything He's done for me, and for having this connection with Him, and Jesus sacrificing Himself for me. I felt like I was it was a thing I kept coming back to praying, was that with every person I touch every day, let me be a light for them that somehow leads them to their path to Him, in whatever way it may be. But just to be more mindful of my actions, and so that I'm making sure that if I am being watched as a Christian, that I'm reflecting Him and making people want to seek Him out. And did you make steps towards this? I feel like after the first day, I even started seeing a difference. Like I was more mindful of, making sure I smile and I greet everybody, where usually when I walk into the gym, I kind of, I have my headphones in and I'm focused on working out and don't really make conversation, where I was on the last, yesterday and today, I was more mindful to, stop and say hi and how are you doing and how's your day going? And I feel like it did start to affect me. I did start to make those changes. And I hope that it continues. I feel like this would be something I think I might even start doing every day, as long as the weather permits, because Montana gets a little cold outside. In regards to relationship to others, what did you pray over and why? That's interesting, because I actually had my husband tell me right before my run today that one of his coworkers that he hasn't worked with for a while, his wife is sick, and asked me to pray. So I was praying for her and I was praying for him, and for God to guide, because he's kind of on the fence on if he should quit to stay home with her, and to guide him in whatever decision's best for them, versus people are always worried about money and maybe just looking to you for guidance and support, and praying that him and his wife both have a social support. Both days I prayed over my family. I prayed over my husband. He's had an interesting time at work, and just praying for him to do what's best for him and our family, and just for me to do whatever I can to support him, and to just trust God, and that God will watch over us. And of course, all of my friends and family that need it. I think there were other people that came into my mind. I don't remember everyone right now. But it was over an hour and a half. A lot of thoughts cross your mind. Actually 3 hours total. But and in regards to relationships, did you pray over? Did you make any steps towards the desired changes? Yes. So my husband had initially told me about basically he's thinking about quitting his job because they're switching his shift again, which is where we live, and it's just unhealthy. It's not a healthy situation for our family. It's not healthy for him. But of course, there's that financial stress, because I'm not able to work right now. And so initially I was like, I'll support you, but I kind of, I didn't say it wholeheartedly. And so I found that after I did that yesterday, I called him up and said, I was really tired, it kind of hit me off guard, but I want you to know, I want you to be happy, and I want what's best for you. And of course, what's best for you is best for, us as a family. And so I'll support you, and I know God will watch over us. So I feel like I did make those changes, and I feel like it definitely impacted our relationship, and it definitely helped. How might this experience inform your future work with clients? This is definitely something I could see being beneficial to recommend for people to do. I know when people talk about stress, and I, of course, suggesting ways for self-care and grounding themselves when they're in difficult times, I always talk about going for a walk. But I feel like even maybe telling them to focus, if it's scripture or a quote or something, I feel like it really does help, because it really does. Even before I went for my walk, my walk/run, I was listening to the Christian music. So I was really, focusing my mind to be there. So maybe this will help me to give them a little more guidance on how to do that with, better direction, and to be, for it to be more beneficial to them. I definitely feel like if this is something that I implement in my life, it's definitely something that if I, stay disciplined in doing it, I can definitely see it having a positive effect on me and my interactions with people and my interactions with my clients, as I do feel like I am going through the rest of my day feeling more positive, more optimistic, more focused on, heavenly things and God, and but He wishes of me, rather than concerns of making dinner, or people driving crazy, or whatever it is that gets my mind off of where it should be, which is on God and Jesus. And and doing what they will of me, and just surrendering myself to them.